Dakuku Peterside is the Director General at NIMASA, that's the agency responsible for maritime administration and safety. And he's been on the seat, saying he thinks, well, it will all be easy, right? But he finds out that the sector requires a lot of tweaking since he got into office. Temple Ashaju, business correspondent, had a sit-down with Dakuku Peterside a few days ago, and this was how Temple began by asking him how he feels being on the seat. Take a listen.
You took up this job a few years ago. Did you think it was going to be this tedious?
No, I must confess, in my wildest imagination, I didn't expect the task to be this tedious. When we got here, when we joined the NIMASA team, I realized a lot of work has been done, but I also got it very clear that there is so much work left undone, and that we're in an industry that is international by nature, and that if we truly need to be reckoned with internationally, then we need to work 24 hours in a day out of 24 hours, meaning we have no place for rest. And so we didn't expect that it would be this tedious. But it's been work, work, work. And it's been thinking on our feet. It's been quite hectic. But again, we thank God for his grace and mercy. I think that we've given it our best shot.
So in terms of your contributions to GDP, I mean, a few years ago, we noticed that NIMASA actually bailed out the federal government by making some 300 billion naira available to the coffers of the federal government. Going forward, what should be expected from NIMASA?
Well, it's important that I make this very clear. Our primary role is not to generate money for government. Our primary role is to regulate the industry, to support activities in the industry, to promote shipping activities or promote the involvement of Nigerians in shipping. And so whenever we look at shipping, what we look at is safety, security, and creation of opportunities for Nigerians. Contribution to the Consolidated Revenue Fund is consequential to our activities. It's not the core activity. What we've done in the past few years that we've been here is to refocus NIMASA on her core mandate of regulation, shipping regulation, and shipping promotion. And without sounding immodest, I think we've done pretty very well in that area. I hear that the average Nigerian thinks that NIMASA is having her best of times. And I say to those who are saying this, that I don't think the best of times are here. We still have a lot of work to do. There's no aspect of NIMASA's responsibility that is not calling for attention. Is it in the reform of ship registry? Is it in our survey, inspection, and certification regime? Is it in our capacity building activities? Is it in the cabotage regime? Is it in safety? Is it in marine environment management? Virtually every area of NIMASA mandate is calling for attention. But I believe that I have a team that is equal to their responsibility, and we're giving a good account of ourselves.
So which of those reforms were you able to really pinpoint and really address huge issues during your time?
Well, I think that we've done a lot of reforms. We've achieved a lot of milestones in our reforms. When we joined Team NIMASA, one of the greatest challenges that faced us is the issue of reputation. NIMASA was known for the wrong reasons. Every day we are reported in the news for the wrong reasons. And so we needed to do some housekeeping. And one strategy we used was to use good deeds to dwarf whatever reputation issues we had. And so we started churning out works that speaks for us. And over time, today, the average Nigerian on the street sees NIMASA for what she is. A regulatory agency of government working very hard to protect the interests of Nigerians in shipping and promoting the involvement of Nigerians in shipping, creating opportunities for our people. So that's one of the things we dealt with, reputation management. We needed to strategize in terms of managing our reputation. The other area is to refocus on the cabotage regime. In the area of manning, we have also paid some attention to the area of manning. We did an audit of the maritime training institutions, identified the problems they were encountering, the challenges they were facing. How do we help them to bring them up to date so that they can compete with maritime training institutions anywhere in the world? We worked very hard to provide sea time for the people that we sent abroad under the Nigerian Seafarers Development Program. We also tried to enhance the quality of the Nigerian Certificate of Competency so that the people will not just work within our coastal waters, they can also work outside our coastal waters. We also carried out some support, of course, to the Nigerian Maritime University of Okerinkeko to ensure that they take off, give them a push to take off so that we not only produce middle-level manpower, we also produce high-end manpower. We worked with the local industry to create sea time for those who train in Maritime Academy of Nigeria or run. We've also supported Maritime Academy of Nigeria or run in the purchase of simulators and a few other things. So in the area of manning, we also started what is called the new cabotage compliance strategy, which technically outlaw the issuance of waiver for certain category of seafarers, save for masters, for captains, and for chief engineers. The new cabotage compliance strategy in the first 6 months of its enforcement put 400 Nigerians on board vessels, Nigerian seafarers on board vessels. These were persons who were literally idling at home. So we focus on cabotage. Now in the area of shipbuilding, we carried out an audit of shipbuilding and ship repair facilities in the country, working in collaborative with Nigerian Content Development Board. We have since started a process of a 5-year waiver cessation plan. We have done a strategic plan to stop the issuance of waivers so that we could build more vessels in the country. We can get Nigerians own more vessels, man more vessels. And then part of the things we're doing is in the provision of resources, provision of giving them access to capital to own assets. We also focus on reforming the Nigerian ship registrar so that a lot of people can flag their vessels Nigeria. We set up a stakeholder-led committee to reform the Nigerian ship registrar, make the Nigerian ship registry more business-friendly, make it more responsive, automate the entire process so that you don't need to carry paper from one office to the other trying to register your vessel. Then again, we also did a lot to enhance the reputation and respectability of the Nigerian ship registry. So that's in the area of ship registry. In the area of safety, we looked at the way we do enforcement. One of the things we also did was to lay out a 5-pillar of the reforms we're championing here. And one of the highlights of the reform is survey, inspection, and certification regime. We changed the way we carry out survey of vessels, the way we carry out inspection of vessels and certification of vessels. And under the port state regime, the coastal state regime, and the flag state regime. Right now, in terms of enforcement, we don't just go out and do enforcement. We'll get the operators in the industry understand why they need to comply with international rules and regulations. How we intend to go about enforcement, we enlighten them, we educate them, we help them to comply with the rules. The idea is that we don't want substandard vessels in our territorial waters. We don't want cases of incidents in our territorial waters. And so we're not just going all out there arresting those who are non-compliant. We want to help them comply. We want to help them understand the negative consequences of not complying. So we change our regime of enforcement. There's been a shift, of the way we do enforcement from enlightenment to education to partnership. And so enforcement is at the last end of trying to build compliance. Now, the other thing we have done is the area of maritime labor. Now, what of our dock workers? We're trying to create a career path for our dock workers. It's not enough for you to just... Now, it's everywhere in the world. The work done by dock workers is now being automated. There are machines that do that work. So, over time, if we don't train them, they'll be out of job. And we're talking about thousands of human beings who will be out of job. We're teaching them technology right now. Let them improve their skill. We are certifying them. We're trying to create a career path for them. We're looking at their welfare package. How are they treated? What welfare scheme do they have? What medical support scheme do they have? We're also looking at the seafarers on board. Are they getting the best of deals Are they getting the best of treatment? And we've made remarkable progress in that area. Now, one of the greatest achievements we've made is in the turnaround time of vessels calling at our ports. Now, before I used to take at least, let me be conservative, at least 1 week for you to get sailing clearance when you call a Nigerian port. The inspection regime, the enforcement regime takes you 7 days before NIMASA issues you sailing clearance. Now, under 24 hours, we'll issue you sailing clearance. You can call at our port today, and tomorrow you set sail leaving our port.